Hannah sat at our kitchen table, the same table where I'd celebrated Ryan's 6-month sobriety just 3 months ago, and said, "I'm pregnant. It's Ryan's." The words didn't make sense at first, like hearing a foreign language. My brain kept trying to reorder them into something that made sense. I'm pregnant. It's Ryan's. I heard each word individually, but together, my mind couldn't make them fit reality. She wasn't crying. That's what I remember most, matter of fact. Like she was telling me dinner was ready, or that she'd pick Emma up from softball practice. Just flat, clinical. "Say that again." My voice came out steady. Firefighter mode. First responder training kicked in when my heart didn't know what to do. I'd pulled people from burning buildings, held pressure on wounds that should have killed someone. You learn to keep your hands steady when everything's falling apart. Hannah looked at her hands. "I'm 8 weeks pregnant. The baby... It's not yours, Tommy. It's Ryan's." I watched my fingers wrap around my coffee mug. Simple brown ceramic chipped on the handle. We'd bought it at the farmer's market 5 years ago. Everything in this kitchen had a story. 15 years of stories. And now this. How long? The question felt stupid as soon as I asked it. 8 weeks. She was 8 weeks along. But that's not what I meant. 7 months. She said it quietly. The affair. It's been 7 months. 7 months. I set the coffee mug down carefully. My wedding ring clicked against the ceramic. Simple gold band worn smooth from 15 years on my hand. I could feel the engraving inside without looking. Forever. H&T, 6/12, 2010. I'd never taken it off. Not once. Not for fires. Not for anything. While I was at the station, "Tommy, while I was working," she nodded, small, ashamed maybe, or just tired of lying. I thought about the past 7 months, the 72-hour wildfire deployment in July, the training weekends, the overnight shifts. All the times I'd texted her, "Love you, see you in the morning," while I was sleeping in the station bunk room. What was she doing those nights? "Ryan wants to do the right thing," Hannah said. He wants to marry me, raise the baby together." The right thing. My little brother. The one I raised after Dad went to prison when I was 17 and Ryan was 12. The one I got the job at Miller's Garage because I knew the owner. The one whose rent I still helped with because he couldn't quite make ends meet. The one who told me 3 months ago, "Tommy, you saved my life. I don't know where I'd be without you." He wanted to do the right thing. I stood up. My chair scraped against the linoleum. The sound was too loud in the quiet kitchen. "Where is he?" "Tommy, please. Where's Ryan?" "His apartment." "But don't. Tommy, you can't." I was already grabbing my truck keys. The apartment I helped him afford, the one I'd carried boxes into when he moved in last year, promising him, "Fresh start, buddy. You got this." Hannah called after me, but I was out the door. Ryan's apartment was above Miller's Garage, a converted storage space that still smelled like motor oil and old tires. I'd been here 100 times, helped him paint, fixed his leaking sink, brought him groceries when he was between paychecks. I knocked 3 hard raps. He opened the door wearing the Millbrook Fire Department shirt I'd given him. The irony made my jaw clench. "Tommy." His face went pale. Hannah called. "Listen, man, 7 months. It wasn't supposed to. 7 months you've been fucking my wife." He flinched. "Tommy, I love her. I know you don't want to hear that, but you love her." I stepped inside. The apartment was a mess, as usual. Empty beer bottles on the counter, dirty dishes in the sink, and there, on the coffee table, a crumpled piece of notebook paper. I recognized Ryan's messy handwriting even from across the room. I picked it up. An IOU. $3,800. Pay by Nov. 15. "What's this?" Ryan's eyes darted to the paper. "That's nothing. Old debt." "November 15th. That was 3 months ago. Right when you came to me for money. Said you had gambling debts, needed help getting back on your feet." He didn't answer. "I gave you $3,800, Ryan, 3 months ago." Tommy, that's not same amount, exact same number. The paper felt soft in my hands, worn from being folded and unfolded. There was a coffee stain in the corner. What did you spend it on, Ryan? Hotels? His silence was the answer. I'd funded my own betrayal, literally handed him the money to take my wife to hotels while I worked 72-hour shifts saving other people's homes. We're in love. Ryan's voice cracked. Hannah and I, we're keeping the baby together. Tommy, I know this is... Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare tell me what this is. You're always the hero, Tommy. The words came out bitter. Always saving everyone. The perfect brother. The town hero. But you don't understand what it's like living in your shadow. Hannah, she felt it too. She was drowning, being Mrs. Perfect Firefighter, and you never even noticed. So you saved her. Is that it? Someone had to see her. I've pulled people from burning buildings, but I can't save someone from themselves. I've been trying to save Ryan his whole life, from our father's fists when he came home drunk, from dropping out of school, from every bad decision, every relapse, every consequence. And this is what saving him got me. I dropped the IOU on his coffee table. Stay away from my family. Hannah is my family now. The baby, stay away. I walked out before I did something I'd regret. My hands were shaking when I got to my truck. Not from fear, from the effort it took not to put my fist through his wall. The fire station was dark except for the bay lights. Shift change wasn't for another hour, but I couldn't go home. Couldn't face that empty kitchen. Couldn't look at Hannah. Pete was in the day room reading on the worn couch we'd had since before I made captain. He looked up when I walked in. Tommy? You're not on shift till... He saw my face. What happened? I made it to the coffee pot before the words came out. Hannah's pregnant. It's Ryan's. Pete set his book down. Jesus Christ. 7 months, the affair. 7 months, Pete. Tommy, he used my money. I gave him $3,000 for gambling debts. He spent it on hotels with my wife. Pete stood up, crossed to me. Sit down, man. Just sit. I couldn't. I paced the day room, past the table where we played poker on slow nights, past the bulletin board covered in call logs and training schedules, past the trophy case. The trophy case stopped me. My state valor medal sat on the top shelf. Bronze with the Tennessee state seal, red, white, and blue ribbon. Thomas Callahan, Extraordinary Valor, 2023, for pulling 3 kids from that house fire on Maple Street. The mayor had presented it at the courthouse. The whole town was there. They called me a hero. Hero, I said out loud. The word tasted bitter. You are a hero, Pete said quietly. I saved 3 kids from a burning building, Pete, but I couldn't even see my own marriage burning down around me. That's not your fault. Isn't it? Ryan said I never noticed Hannah was drowning, that she needed someone to see her. Ryan's a piece of shit who's blaming you for his choices. Pete's voice hardened. Don't you dare take that on. I touched the metal through the glass. Heavy, substantial. Proof that I was good at saving strangers. Tommy, you need to know something. Pete moved to the filing cabinet, pulled out the logbook. The big red ledger where we logged every call, every shift. Diane Morrison came by earlier today. Hannah's colleague from the elementary school. She was looking for you. Why? Pete hesitated. She said she has evidence about the affair. She's been struggling with whether to tell you. Evidence. The word felt clinical, scientific, like something you logged at a crime scene. She's at the diner. Said she'd wait till your shift started, but... Pete checked his watch. I can call her if you want. I wanted to say no, wanted to pretend that if I didn't see the evidence, it wasn't real. But firefighters don't look away from fires. We run toward them. Call her. If you've ever felt like you had to be strong for everyone else, even when you're breaking inside, just type hero in the comments. You're not alone in carrying that weight. Diane Morrison looked like she'd aged 10 years since I saw her at parent-teacher conferences last month. She slid into the booth across from me at the station, clutching a manila folder like it might escape. Tommy, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I didn't know if it was my place and Hannah's my friend, or she was, and what is it, Diane? She opened the folder. Inside was a stack of papers, printed text messages, 23 pages stapled in the upper left corner, some passages highlighted in yellow. I saw them on Hannah's phone 2 months ago, during a staff meeting. She left it on the table when she went to the bathroom and it buzzed. I glanced. I shouldn't have, but Diane's voice cracked. The messages were on the screen from Ryan. I took screenshots before I really thought about what I was doing. Then I didn't know what to do with them. She pushed the stack across the table. The paper felt ordinary, just regular printer paper. But the highlighter had that sharp chemical smell, and the staple was cold against my thumb when I gripped the corner. Tommy, I'm telling you this because you deserve to know the truth, and because... She took a breath. Hannah threatened me. When I told her I saw the messages, she said if I told you, she'd tell the school board about something from my past, something she knew I wanted kept private. She threatened you into silence. Diane nodded, tears in her eyes. I'm not proud of it, but I made copies anyway, just in case. And when I heard today that she was pregnant, she stood up. I'll testify if it comes to that, whatever you need. She left me alone with 23 pages. I started reading. The first few pages were flirtatious, compliments. You look beautiful today. Can't stop thinking about you. The kind of thing that could maybe be explained away as friendly. Then they escalated. Page 7, April 12th, met at the Pinewood Motel, room 14. Can you get away this weekend? April, 4 months before I even knew something was wrong. Page 10, May 3rd, Tommy's on shift tonight. Come over after Emma's asleep, in my house. They'd been in my house. Page 14, July 9th, 8:47 p.m., Ryan's message. He's gone. Come over tonight. We've got the whole weekend. July 9th. I pulled out my phone, opened my own photos, found the picture of my crew from that deployment, dated July 9th. The caption I'd written, 72-hour wildfire shift. 12 homes saved. Grateful for this team. I flipped back to the text messages, ran my finger down the highlighted section. July 9th, 8:47 p.m. He's gone. Come over tonight. July 10th, 11:23 p.m. This feels so right when it's just us. July 11th, 2:14 a.m. Never thought I could be this happy. While I was pulling 12 families from the path of wildfire, while I was sleeping in full gear on the station floor, while I was calling Hannah from the truck between calls to say, I love you, I'll be home soon. They were in my bed. The paper trembled in my hands, not from fear, from the sheer force it took to keep sitting in this booth, reading these words, and not putting my fist through the table. Tommy, Pete's voice, gentle. I'd forgotten he was there. They started the affair during my wildfire deployment. I know. I worked 72 hours straight, saved 12 homes, Pete. 12 families didn't lose everything because we were there. And Ryan, my voice broke. Ryan texted her, he's gone, like I was an obstacle, like my absence was an opportunity. Pete pulled out his phone. Let me show you something. He opened a photo of the fire station logbook, the entry from July 9th. My handwriting, neat and controlled, even though I'd been exhausted when I wrote it. Callahan T. 72R wildfire deployment. 12 structures saved. 2 minor injuries, treated on scene. Grateful return 7/12. You were being a hero, Pete said. You were doing exactly what this town needed you to do. And they betrayed that. The logbook and the text messages, side by side, the same dates, the same nights. I saved strangers while my family destroyed me. Chief Briggs needs to know about this, Pete said carefully. The mayor already called him, somehow she heard. The mayor? How? Small town, Tommy. Sandra Reeves told Betty at the post office, who told the mayor's secretary. You know how it goes. Of course, Sandra Reeves, our neighbor. Nothing happened in Millbrook without her knowing within 24 hours, and now the whole town would know by morning. Chief wants to see you before shift tomorrow, Pete said. But Tommy, he paused. There's something else you need to know about the department. What? Some of the guys, they're not all on your side. Some think you should have been home more, should have seen the signs, should have... He stopped. Look, it's bullshit. But you need to know there's division. Division in the department. The brotherhood that had been my second family for 16 years. They think it's my fault. They think you should forgive her. Family first, Christian values, all that. Forgive her. I looked at the text messages again. 23 pages, 7 months, systematic, planned. They think I should forgive this? Some do. Not me. Not most of us, but enough that... Pete shook his head. Chief wants to talk to you about it before it becomes a bigger problem. I gathered the papers. 23 pages of evidence that my life was a lie. The wedding ring on my finger suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. I slid it off. First time in 15 years. The gold was warm from my body heat, and removing it left a pale indent on my skin. I set it on the logbook page, the entry from July 9th. The metal made a small, final clink. Pete stared at the ring. Tommy, I need to go home. Talk to Emma before the whole town told her first. Before Sandra Reeves's granddaughter, who was in Emma's grade, passed it along on social media. Before my daughter heard her father was a fool from anyone but me. Go, Pete said. I'll talk to Chief, buy you some time. I stood up. The text messages, the IOU, the logbook photo, I left them all with Pete. Evidence of my marriage ending. Evidence that the life I'd built on honor and service meant nothing to the people I'd loved most. Chief Briggs was standing at the station door when I left. He must have come in during my meeting with Diane. Tommy, he said, we need to talk. The mayor called. I know. She wants this kept quiet. Says it'll be bad for the town's image if the hero... He stopped, looked at me, really looked at me. What do you need, son? Chief Briggs had been at the station longer than I'd been alive. He taught me everything about firefighting, about leadership, about being the kind of man people could trust in a crisis. I need to tell my daughter the truth before the whole town does it for me. He nodded slowly. The mayor's not going to like that. I don't care what the mayor likes. Good. Chief's mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. Go take care of Emma. We'll deal with the politics tomorrow. The house was dark when I got home. Emma's light was off. She'd gone to bed early. Good. I'd tell her in the morning. Figure out what to say. How do you tell your 13-year-old daughter that her mother and uncle destroyed everything? I sat in my truck in the driveway for 20 minutes, just staring at our house. White siding, blue shutters Emma had helped me paint 2 summers ago. The porch where we'd carve pumpkins every Halloween. 15 years of memories in those walls. How many of them were lies? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mayor Patterson. Need to see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. My office. Urgent, not a request. A summons. I didn't sleep that night, just lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the last 7 months. Looking for signs I'd missed. Conversations that seemed normal but weren't. Times Hannah had been distant, cold, pulling away. They were all there. I just hadn't wanted to see them. Mayor Linda Patterson's office smelled like air freshener and ambition. Campaign posters from her re-election bid covered one wall. Patterson moving Millbrook forward. She was up for re-election in 3 months. Everything in this town came back to politics eventually. Tommy. She stood when I entered, gestured to the chair across from her desk. Thank you for coming. You said it was urgent. It is. She sat, folded her hands. I'm going to be direct. I know about Hannah, about Ryan, and I know you're hurting, but Tommy, we need to think about how this is handled. Handled. The town's image, your... She picked up a glossy program from her desk. Red cover, fire department emblem in gold. The Firefighters Ball Program. February 14th, 6 weeks away. You're receiving the Lifetime Service Award at the ball. 400 people attending. The governor's office is sending a representative. This is big for Millbrook. I stared at the program. My photo on page 3. Bio listing 16 years of service. The house fire that earned me the Valor Medal. Quotes from families I'd saved. Captain Thomas Callahan exemplifies the courage and integrity that defines Millbrook's finest. You want me to keep quiet? I said. I want you to think about Emma, about what happens if this becomes town gossip. She's 13, Tommy, 8th grade. You know how cruel kids can be. Kids are already cruel, Mayor. Sandra Reeves told half the town yesterday. Linda winced, which is why we need damage control. If you handle this privately, quiet divorce, no drama, it blows over. People forget. But if you make this public, if you cause a scene... She tapped the program. This award honors you, but it also represents what this town values. Family, service, faith. If the hero's own family falls apart publicly, my family already fell apart. Privately didn't stop it. Think of Emma, she said again. Think of what this will do to her at school. Every kid in that building will know. Every parent will be talking. Can you really put your pride above your daughter's well-being? Pride. Like standing up for myself was vanity. Like letting my wife and brother humiliate me in silence was noble. 6 weeks, the mayor continued. Just keep it quiet until after the ball. Then do what you need to do. But don't destroy this town's image and your daughter's reputation because you're angry. The program sat between us. February 14th, Valentine's Day. They'd scheduled the town's biggest event to honor me on the same day Hannah and Ryan had probably been planning their future together. I'll think about it, I said. It was the best I could offer. The town council meeting that Wednesday night was mandatory. Hannah and I both volunteered, had for years. Community service, being visible, setting an example. I sat 3 seats away from her at the long table, close enough to smell her perfume, far enough that we didn't have to touch. The meeting was routine, budget discussions, permit approvals, zoning variances. I nodded at the right times, voted when required, played the part. But my left hand kept going to my ring finger, touching the bare skin where the ring used to be. The indent was still there, a pale stripe against my tan. 15 years leaves a mark you can't erase in 2 days. Hannah noticed. I saw her eyes flick to my hand, saw the moment she registered the missing ring. She looked away quickly, but her own hand went to her throat. Nervous gesture, guilty gesture. Across the table, Sandra Reeves was watching us both. 73 years old, retired librarian, and the town's most efficient information network. Her eyes darted between my empty ring finger and Hannah's face, calculating, storing details for later distribution. The meeting ended at 9. I was out of my seat before the gavel hit the table. Tommy! Sandra caught me in the parking lot. Tommy, dear, wait a moment. I stopped. You don't ignore Sandra Reeves in Millbrook, not unless you want the whole town talking about your rudeness by breakfast. Sandra. I just wanted to check on you. You seem distant tonight, tired. Are you all right? Her eyes were sharp. Kind, maybe, but sharp. And I couldn't help but notice you're not wearing your ring. Lost it at a call. The lie came easily, too easily. Oh, how awful. And Hannah looks so pale lately. Is everything well at home? This was how Sandra worked. Innocent questions that weren't innocent. Gathering data. Building her picture of what was happening. We're fine, Sandra. Just busy. Of course, although... She leaned in, voice dropping. Betty mentioned she saw Ryan's truck at your house quite a bit over the summer when you were working those long shifts. I told her that was lovely, that he was probably keeping Hannah company. Brothers-in-law should be close, don't you think? She knew maybe not everything, but enough, and she was giving me a chance to control the narrative before she did it for me. Ryan won't be around much anymore, I said carefully. Family issues. Oh dear, nothing serious, I hope. Everything was serious. Everything was destroyed. But I couldn't tell Sandra that. Couldn't give her the ammunition to spread this across town like wildfire. We'll work it out. Her smile was sympathetic, predatory. Of course you will. You're Tommy Callahan. You fix things. That's what you do. I got in my truck before she could ask more questions, but the damage was done. Sandra knew something was wrong. By tomorrow, her version of events, whatever she decided it was, would be making the rounds. Church, post office, diner, hair salon. The whole town would know before I could tell Emma the truth. The fire station the next morning felt different. Wrong. Like I was walking into a room where everyone had been talking about me and suddenly went quiet. Chief Briggs was in his office. Through the glass, I could see 3 other firefighters, Jim Rodriguez, Marcus Webb, Danny Foster. They looked up when I entered, then quickly looked away. Tommy! Chief waved me in. Close the door. I did. The 3 men outside pretended to be busy with equipment checks. We have a problem, Chief said. Sit down. I sat. There's been talk among the crew about you and Hannah. He held up his hand before I could speak. I shut it down when I heard it. Told them your personal life is your business. But Tommy, some of the men, they're taking sides. Sides? Some think you should have been home more. Should have noticed. Should have... He stopped, jaw tight. They're saying maybe if you'd paid more attention to your marriage, instead of chasing medals and promotions, this wouldn't have happened. The words hit like a fist to the gut. And the others? Think you're getting a raw deal. Think Hannah and Ryan are pieces of shit who don't deserve your forgiveness. But here's the thing. Chief leaned forward. There's talk of a vote. A vote. Captain's an elected position, Tommy. You know that. If enough men think you can't lead because of personal distractions, they can call for a vote of confidence. I'd been captain for 8 years, led this crew through floods, fires, storms, trained half these men myself, and they wanted to vote me out because my wife fucked my brother. Who's pushing for it? Danny Foster's been vocal, says your judgment's compromised, says if you can't manage your own household, how can you manage a crew in crisis? Chief's expression was pained. It's bullshit, Tommy, but it's getting traction. Danny Foster, 39 years old, good firefighter, went to church every Sunday, taught Bible study at First Baptist with Hannah. Of course he was on her side. What do you think I should do, Chief? I think you should fight for your position, for your reputation, for your damn dignity. He stood, walked to the trophy case. My Valor Medal was right there, eye level. You earned this being brave. Now you need to be brave again, in a different way. Through the glass, I could see the crew. Jim was watching us. Marcus was pretending not to. Danny was on his phone, probably texting someone. Maybe texting Hannah. Maybe coordinating their campaign to paint me as the villain. The brotherhood I'd relied on was fractured, and I was on the wrong side of the divide for half of them. Meeting's Thursday, Chief said. Full crew. I'll moderate. You'll have a chance to speak if you want. But Tommy... He turned to face me. Whatever you say, it'll get around town within an hour. Sandra Reeves has a nephew on the crew. Everything came back to small-town gossip. Nothing stayed private. Nothing stayed contained. My phone buzzed. Text from Pete. Emma just posted on Instagram. You should see it. My stomach dropped. I opened Instagram in the station parking lot. Emma's account was private, but I was on her approved list. Her latest post was from 20 minutes ago. A photo of her softball glove. Caption: when life throws you curveballs, you better know how to catch them. Some days are harder than others. 37 comments already. I scrolled through them. Supportive friends, heart emojis. You got this, Em. Then halfway down, a comment from Brittany Walsh, Sandra Reeves's granddaughter. My grandma said your parents are getting divorced. Is that true? Are you okay? And below that, from someone named Jessica Hart. My mom said your mom is pregnant, but like, by your uncle? That's so messed up. 17 replies to that comment. Other kids piling on, asking questions, expressing shock, offering sympathy that felt more like voyeurism. Emma hadn't replied to any of them, but she'd seen them. She had to have seen them. I was halfway home when Pete called. Tommy, Emma's not at school. What? Office called the station looking for you. Emma was in first period, then left after seeing something on her phone. Didn't check out, just left. She was home. She had to be home. I pushed my truck to 15 over the speed limit, praying to a God I wasn't sure was listening anymore that my daughter was safe. Emma's bike was in the driveway. The front door was unlocked. I took the stairs 2 at a time. Emma! Her bedroom door was closed, locked from the inside. Emma, honey, open the door. Silence. Then, muffled through the wood, go away. Emma, please, let me explain. Explain what, Dad? Her voice was raw, crying. Explain that Mom cheated on you with Uncle Ryan? Explain that she's pregnant? Explain that everyone at school knows? I pressed my forehead against the door. I was going to tell you this morning, before school, but you left early, and Brittany Walsh told me during first period. Brittany. She said her grandma told her mom, who told her that Mom and Uncle Ryan were... She broke off, sobbing. I had to hear it from Brittany fucking Walsh. I'd never heard Emma swear before. Unlock the door, sweetheart, please. The lock clicked. I pushed the door open. Emma was sitting on her bed, phone in her lap, mascara running down her face. She looked young, so young, 13 years old, and her world had just shattered. On her nightstand was my Valor Medal. She must have taken it from the trophy case at the station last week when she'd visited. She'd been so proud, showing it to her friends. Is it true? She asked quietly. I sat on the edge of her bed. Yes. All of it? Mom and Uncle Ryan, the baby? Yes. She picked up the medal. Bronze, heavy, the ribbons slightly frayed. You saved 3 kids from a fire. You're a hero. Emma... Everyone at school is talking. Mrs. Henderson pulled me aside after first period to ask if I was okay at home. Like I'm some charity case, like I need pity. She turned the medal over in her hands. 87 comments on Brittany's post. 87. Everyone knows, Dad. Everyone. I'm so sorry. You taught me God rewards faithfulness. Her voice cracked. You said if I stayed pure, followed the rules, loved people right, God would protect me. You said heroes get happy endings if they do the right thing. Emma, where's your protection, Dad? Where's your reward? She was shouting now. You did everything right. You saved people. You were faithful. You were good. And Mom still... She couldn't finish. Just sat there, holding my medal, sobbing. You're right. The words came out hoarse. I don't have an answer. I don't know why this happened. I don't know why doing the right thing didn't protect me. Then what's the point? She looked up, eyes red and puffy. If being good doesn't matter, if being a hero doesn't matter, what's the point of any of it? I reached for her, but she pulled back. They say you're a hypocrite. They say heroes are fake. They say you probably knew and just pretended everything was fine because you care more about your reputation than... That's not true, isn't it? She stood up, pacing her small room. The mayor came to our house last week. I heard her talking to you about keeping quiet, about the ball, about the town's image. She turned on me. You're thinking about it, aren't you? You're thinking about staying silent for appearances. I'm thinking about protecting you by teaching me to accept abuse, by showing me that when someone betrays you, you just smile and pretend? She shook her head. That's not the hero you taught me to be, Dad. She was right. 13 years old, and she could see what I couldn't. Silence wasn't protection. It was cowardice. If you were Tommy, would you tell the truth publicly at the firefighters' ball and risk Emma's reputation at school? Type truth. Or keep silent to protect her, even though it's eating you alive. Type silent. What would you do? Whatever you chose, I struggled with that exact question for days. And then I found something that changed everything. Ryan's apartment manager called me 3 days later. Ryan had moved out without notice, left a mess. The manager was cleaning, found some papers, thought I might want them. I drove over, expecting junk, old bills, maybe some photos. Instead, the manager handed me a crumpled IOU, the same one I'd seen before, and 3 hotel receipts. Pinewood Motel, July 10th to 12th, 3 nights, total $3,147. I stared at the numbers. $3,800 Ryan had borrowed from me for gambling debts. He'd added $47 for taxes and used my money to fuck my wife at the Pinewood Motel during my wildfire deployment. I sat in my truck in the apartment parking lot and called the motel. Pinewood Motel, this is Cheryl. Hi, I need to verify a stay. July 10th through 12th. Name would be Ryan Callahan. Let me check. Keyboard clicking. Yep, got it. Room 8, 3 nights, paid cash, all $3,800 of it. He paid cash. Yes, sir. Big stack of 20s. I remember because we don't get cash payments that large very often. Most folks use cards. 20s. I'd given Ryan $3,800 bills. He'd gotten them broken down to pay for the room. Probably so it wouldn't be traced back to me. Thank you, I managed. I'd funded my own betrayal, given him the exact amount he needed. While I was sleeping on the station floor in my gear, Ryan was sleeping in room 8 of the Pinewood Motel with my wife. On my dime. The town sees a hero. I just see a man who's tired of being strong for everyone else. I drove to Miller's garage. Ryan's boss, Frank Miller, was under a Chevy when I walked in. He rolled out on the creeper, saw me, and his face fell. Tommy, Jesus, I heard. I'm sorry, man. I need to see Ryan's time card. Why? Please, Frank. He stood, wiped his hands on a rag, and walked to the office. Came back with a paper punch card. Ryan's name at the top. Grid of timestamps. I scanned the dates, June through October. The same months the affair was happening. 15 times. 15 Ryan had left early. Handwritten notes next to each. Family emergency. Helping Tommy at station. Did he tell you he was helping me? I asked. Frank nodded slowly. Said you needed extra hands. Training sessions. Equipment maintenance. Hell, Tommy, I never questioned it. You're the fire captain. Ryan's your brother. Made sense he'd help out. I pulled out my phone. Pete had sent me photos of the fire station logbook weeks ago, before any of this started. I scrolled to June through October. Not once, not a single time was Ryan logged as being at the station on any of the dates he'd left work early. He wasn't at the station, Frank. He was lying. Frank's expression hardened. Son of a bitch used your name. Yeah, used your reputation. Everyone in town knows you're... He stopped. Shit, Tommy. He weaponized the fact that people trust you. That's exactly what Ryan had done. Told his boss he was helping Tommy at the station. Told hotel clerks we were brothers so they'd smile and give him good service. Told Hannah I'd never noticed because I was too busy being a hero. He'd used everything I'd built, my reputation, my service, the town's trust in me, as cover for destroying my life. What do you want me to do? Frank asked. Fire him. He already moved out of town, but make it official. Put it in writing that he's not welcome back. Frank nodded. Consider it done. And Tommy, I'm sorry. I should have verified. Should have checked with you. You trusted him because you trusted me. That's not your fault. but it felt like mine, like every good thing I'd ever done had been twisted into a weapon against me. I drove back to the station with Ryan's time card in my passenger seat. 15 lies. 15 times he'd used my name to sneak away and meet Hannah, the town hero. That's what they called me. All I felt was foolish. The lawyer's office was in the old courthouse building downtown. Same building where they'd presented my Valor Medal 2 years ago. Same building where I'd voted in every election since I turned 18. Same building where, apparently, my marriage was about to officially end. Mr. Callahan, attorney Rebecca Walsh stood when I entered. Mid-40s, sharp suit, reputation for winning ugly divorces. Pete had recommended her. Please, sit. I sat across from her desk. She already had papers spread out, forms, documents, the machinery of ending a life together. I've reviewed the evidence you sent, the text messages, the hotel receipts, the timeline. She tapped her pen against a legal pad. Tennessee is a fault-based divorce state. Adultery is clear grounds. With this documentation, the divorce itself will be straightforward. And custody? Emma's 13. In Tennessee, children 12 and older can express preference to the court. Has she told you what she wants? She wants to stay with me. Rebecca nodded. Given Hannah's infidelity and the pregnancy by your brother, which introduces complicated family dynamics, I'd say you have a strong case for primary custody. Hannah will likely get visitation, but given the circumstances... She paused. Has she expressed any desire to fight for custody? No, she's barely spoken to me since I found out. Moved in with her parents last week. Good. That actually helps your case. She abandoned the marital home. Rebecca made a note. Now, about your brother, Ryan Callahan, you want a restraining order? He sent me 17 texts in the last week, calling me, showing up at the station, saying I'm being unreasonable, that I should forgive him for Emma's sake, that the baby is innocent. My jaw tightened. I want him to stop. Harassment, intimidation. Given the affair and his continued unwanted contact, I can get you a protective order. She pulled out another form. And the eviction? He's already moved out. I just want it official, in writing. He's not welcome at any property I own or manage. Done. She slid a stack of papers toward me. These are the divorce filings, adultery grounds, primary custody request with visitation for Hannah, child support calculations, property division. Looks like most assets are in your name anyway since you've been the primary earner. I picked up the pen, different pen than the one I'd used to sign Ryan's hiring papers at Miller's garage, different pen than the one I'd used to write checks for his rent, his bills, his gambling debts. This pen was ending things instead of enabling them. One more thing, Rebecca said. We'll need a paternity test for the baby, official documentation that you're not the father. I already ordered one. Results came yesterday. I pulled the envelope from my jacket. Medical grade paper, hospital logo, sealed with security tape. The envelope made a crisp, tearing sound when I opened it. 3 pages stapled, bar graphs showing genetic markers, green check marks and red X marks. Probability of paternity, 0.02%, excluded as biological father. And on the second page, a separate test I'd requested, probability of paternity, Ryan Callahan, 99.94% included as biological father. Rebecca scanned the results. This is conclusive. I'll file it with the court. She looked up. How are you doing, Tommy? Really? I'm tired of being the hero who has to suffer in silence. Then don't. She tapped the divorce papers. Sign these, take control back, and Tommy... She hesitated. I heard about the firefighter's ball in 2 weeks. Your award. The mayor wants me to keep quiet until after. What do you want? I thought about Emma holding my medal at 2 in the morning. Are you still a hero if your marriage failed? I thought about the fire station divided over whether I deserve support or judgment. I thought about Sandra Reeves and Brittany Walsh and every gossip in Millbrook who'd rather whisper about me than hear the truth. I want to tell the truth, I said. Rebecca smiled, small, approving. Then do it. Sign these papers and do it. I signed, page after page, my signature over and over, ending 15 years. When I got to the last page, I paused. There was a line item about personal property division. Wedding ring, gold band, engraved. To be sold. Proceeds donated to Millbrook Fire Department Youth Education Fund. I told Rebecca about the ring, about taking it off, about what it represented now. She'd suggested this, transforming it from a symbol of broken promises into something that helped the next generation. I signed. The ring that said forever would become fire safety classes for kids who still believed in heroes. Emma was in the kitchen when I got home, making mac and cheese from a box. Our dinner routine since Hannah left. Simple, easy, together. "How'd it go?" she asked without looking up. "Filed the papers, custody, divorce, all of it." She stirred the pot. "Good." We ate in silence for a while, then Emma said, "The ball's in 2 weeks." "I know. Are you going?" I set down my fork. "Do you want me to?" "I want you to do what's right." She looked at me then, really looked at me. "You taught me something when I was little. Before bed one night, I was scared about a test at school. You said, 'Real heroes aren't fearless, Emma. They're scared, but they do the right thing anyway.'" I remembered. She'd been 7, worried about failing, about disappointing us. "You're scared to go to that ball," Emma continued. "Scared of what people will say, what they'll think. But Dad," her voice cracked slightly, "if you teach me to stay silent when people hurt me, what kind of hero are you really?" My own words thrown back at me. 13 years old, and she was wiser than I was. "You're right. So you'll go? You'll tell them the truth?" "Yeah." The word came out steadier than I felt. "Yeah, I will." Emma smiled, small, sad, but proud. "Good." She got up, left the kitchen, came back with something in her hands. My Valor Medal, bronze, ribbon faded, the weight of it familiar. "You earned this being brave in one moment," she said, setting it on the table between us. "Now you get to earn it again by being honest, even when it's terrifying." I picked up the medal, heavy, substantial. For 2 years it had sat in the trophy case, proof that I was worthy, proof that I was a hero. But Emma was right. Real heroism wasn't one moment of physical courage. It was the daily choice to be honest when lying was easier. To stand up when sitting down was safer. "Were you scared?" Emma asked, "when you went into that burning house?" "Terrified." "But you did it anyway." She wasn't asking, she was reminding me. "That's what you taught me, Dad. Do it scared." The firefighters' ball was February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Pete picked me up at 6. I'd offered to drive myself, but he insisted. "You're going to need backup," he'd said. "Brotherhood means showing up." The Veterans Hall was decorated in red and gold. 400 people, exactly as the mayor had predicted. Firefighters from 6 counties, town officials, families, local press. I spotted the Millbrook Gazette photographer by the stage. Mayor Patterson intercepted me at the door. She looked like she'd aged 5 years in 2 weeks. "Tommy, you came." "I was invited." "Please tell me you're not going to..." She glanced at the photographer. "We can still handle this quietly. After tonight, the governor's representative is here. This is important for the town." "I know." "Then you'll..." "I'm going to tell the truth, Linda, the whole truth. And if that's bad for the town's image, maybe the town needs a better image than one built on asking people to lie." Her face went pale. "Tommy, please." "I'm done being quiet." I walked past her. Pete followed. The ballroom was full. I recognized faces everywhere. Chief Briggs at a table near the front, Jim Rodriguez and his family, Marcus Webb, Danny Foster, the one who'd wanted me voted out as captain, sitting with his wife, looking uncomfortable when he saw me. Sandra Reeves was there too, of course, front row, watching everything. Emma waved from a table near the stage. She'd come with Pete's family. She was wearing her good dress, the blue one she'd worn to my medal ceremony 2 years ago. She gave me a thumbs up. The ceremony started at 7. Speeches from the mayor, from Chief Briggs, from the governor's representative, a polished woman in her 50s who talked about public service and sacrifice. Then Chief stood at the microphone with the Firefighters Ball program in his hands. Our final award tonight, he said, is the Lifetime Service Award. This honor recognizes not just years served, but character demonstrated, leadership under pressure, integrity in crisis. He looked at me. Captain Thomas Callahan has served the Millbrook Fire Department for 16 years. He's trained dozens of firefighters, saved countless lives, led this department through floods, fires, and storms. In 2023, he received the State Valor Medal for rescuing 3 children from a burning building at risk to his own life. Applause rippled through the room. Tommy exemplifies what it means to serve, and tonight it's my privilege to present him with this award. Chief held up a plaque. Captain Callahan, would you join me on stage? I stood. My legs felt like they might give out. Pete squeezed my shoulder as I passed. Emma was crying already, proud tears. I walked to the stage, accepted the plaque. Chief shook my hand, whispered, "You've got this." Then he stepped back, leaving me alone at the microphone. 400 people, watching, waiting for a gracious acceptance speech, a humble acknowledgement, maybe a funny story about training or a memorable call. I looked at the plaque. Captain Thomas Callahan, Lifetime Service Award for unwavering dedication and moral character. Moral character. I set the plaque down, gripped the microphone. 16 years ago, I said, my voice carrying across the silent room, I put on this uniform promising to protect people, to serve this community, to be someone you could trust in a crisis. Heads nodded, comfortable, expected. I kept that promise. I paused. I worked 72-hour shifts during wildfires, missed birthdays and holidays, showed up every single time someone in this town needed help. I thought, my voice cracked slightly. I thought if I did everything right, if I was faithful and honest and worked hard enough, that would protect me, protect my family. The room was utterly still. But sometimes, I gripped the microphone harder. Sometimes the people you protect most, your own family, they're the ones who break you. I saw the mayor's face go white, saw Sandra Reeves lean forward. My wife had an affair with my brother. The words came out clear, steady. For 7 months, the baby she's carrying isn't mine, it's Ryan's. Gasps, whispers. A woman in the back said, "Oh my God," loud enough to hear. I kept going. I'm telling you this because some of you already heard rumors, because my daughter learned about it from her classmates instead of from me, because the mayor asked me to stay silent until after tonight to protect the town's image. I looked at Linda. She couldn't meet my eyes. But I can't do that. I taught Sunday school for 8 years about honesty and integrity. I can't stand here accepting an award for moral character while living a lie. My voice wavered. I let it. Let them hear that I was breaking. I don't know if I'm still a hero to you. I don't know if a man whose own family betrayed him deserves this plaque. But I know that my daughter is watching, and I need her to learn that when someone hurts you, you don't smile and pretend. You tell the truth, even when it costs everything. Silence. Complete, total silence. 400 people, not a sound. Then Chief Briggs stood up. Just stood. Didn't say anything. Just looked at me and stood. Pete stood next to him. Then Jim Rodriguez. Marcus Webb. One by one, firefighters rising from their seats. Emma stood, tears streaming down her face. then the man next to her, and the woman behind Emma, and Sandra Reeves. Sandra Reeves, the town gossip, stood up with tears in her eyes. The entire room rose to their feet. Standing ovation. Not for my service, not for the medal or the years or the lives saved, for the truth. The applause was deafening. I stood there holding the microphone, shaking as 400 people in Millbrook chose honesty over image. Chose me, broken and imperfect, over the hero they'd expected. Emma was sobbing. Pete was clapping so hard his hands had to hurt. Chief Briggs nodded once, firm, approving. The governor's representative stood too. Professional smile gone, replaced with something that looked like respect. Even Danny Foster was standing. The man who'd wanted me voted out. He met my eyes across the room and nodded, small, apologetic. I'd spent weeks terrified of this moment, terrified of judgment and rejection and losing everything I'd built, but they'd chosen me anyway, not the perfect hero, just me. 2 days after the ball, the adoption agency called. Mr. Callahan, we found a couple, Nashville. They've been waiting for 8 years for a baby. Vetted, background checked, financially stable. They'd like to meet you and Emma, if you're willing. Open adoption, I asked. Yes. They understand the child should know their story when they're old enough, but they want to be clear. This is their child. They'll make the decisions. You're giving them the gift of family. When? This week, if possible. The baby's due in 3 months. Emma wanted to go. I want to meet them, she said. I want to know the baby's going somewhere good. So we drove to Nashville on a cold Saturday morning, met David and Sarah Chen in a coffee shop near Vanderbilt, mid-30s, kind faces, nervous the way people are when they're holding hope they're afraid to believe in. We've wanted this for so long, Sarah said softly. We can't have children of our own. We've been on waiting lists for years. The baby didn't ask to be born from betrayal, I said, but they deserve parents who chose them on purpose, who wanted them. We do, David said. We've prepared. Nursery's ready. We've read every book. He stopped. We'll love them. That's what matters, right? They'll be loved. Emma pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket. I wrote a letter for the baby, for when they're older, explaining everything so they know they weren't unwanted. They were just, her voice cracked, born into complicated circumstances. But that Tommy, my dad, he made sure they went somewhere safe. Sarah took the letter carefully. We'll give it to them when they're old enough to understand, I promise. We talked for 2 hours about parenting philosophies, about how they'd handle questions about birth parents, about whether they'd tell extended family the full story. When we left, Sarah hugged Emma, then hesitantly hugged me. Thank you, she whispered, for giving us this gift. But I was the one who should be thanking them for taking on the weight of Ryan and Hannah's choices, for turning something broken into something whole. 6 weeks later, Emma and I were at the fire station when the call came in. Structure fire, 420 Maple Street, family trapped inside, multiple units responding. Emma had started riding along on weekends, learning the ropes. 16, and she wanted to be a firefighter like her dad. Chief had approved it, supervised observer only, stayed with the trucks, but she was there. Let's go, I said. We rode in truck 3, Pete driving, me in command position, Emma in the back with full protective gear, even though she wouldn't be going near the fire. 412 Maple Street was a 2-story colonial, smoke pouring from the second floor. Neighbors gathered on the lawn, a woman screaming, my babies are upstairs. Training took over. Pete, hydrant, Jim, ladder to the second floor window. Marcus, search the first floor. I'm going up. I was halfway up the ladder when I heard Emma's voice below. Dad, be careful. The same fear I'd heard years ago when she was 7, but different now. She knew heroes weren't invincible, knew they could be hurt, New bravery was doing it scared. The second floor was thick with smoke. I found them in the back bedroom, 2 kids, maybe 8 and 10, huddled under a window, disoriented, coughing. "I've got you. Come on, let's go." I got them down the ladder, handed them off to paramedics. The mother collapsed on the lawn, crying, holding her children. "You saved us," she sobbed. "You saved my babies." Emma was standing by the truck, watching. When I walked over, she said, "You're still a hero, Dad." "Just doing my job." "No." She shook her head. "You're still a hero, but now I know heroes hurt too. They get betrayed and broken and scared, and they do it anyway." I pulled her into a hug, smoke and sweat and ash, but she didn't care. "I taught you something wrong," I said quietly. "When you were little, I said heroes weren't fearless, but I should have added heroes can ask for help. They don't have to carry everything alone. I learned that the hard way. From Pete and Chief Briggs." "From you," I corrected. "You taught me that, Emma, when you said staying silent was teaching you to accept abuse. You taught me that being strong doesn't mean suffering in silence." She smiled, small, healing. "We teach each other, I guess." That afternoon, Emma and I went to the fire station. Chief had something for us. "Wanted to show you this," he said, leading us outside. Behind the station, near the training yard, was a small, newly planted tree. Red maple, maybe 4 feet tall, staked carefully, mulch around the base. "Youth fund donation," Chief explained, "from the wedding ring proceeds. We used it for fire safety education, taught 3 classes at the elementary school this month, and had enough left over for this." A small plaque at the base of the tree read, "In honor of second chances." Emma touched the thin trunk. "It's so small." "Now," Chief said, "but it'll grow, change colors with the seasons, live longer than all of us probably." He looked at me. "Tommy suggested it, said some things have to die so new life can grow." I'd said that to Rebecca, the lawyer, when we finalized the divorce, about the ring, about the marriage, about the version of myself that thought being perfect would protect me. Emma knelt down, patted the soil around the tree's base. "It's like us, Dad. We survived the fire. Not the house fire from an hour ago, the other fire, the one that burned down our family, the one we'd walk through and come out the other side of." "Yeah," I said softly, "we did. But we're different now, like..." She stood, brushing dirt off her hands. "Like that medal. It meant one thing when you got it, meant you were brave for one moment, but now it means something different." "What's that?" "That being brave isn't just the moment. It's every day after, when you filed for divorce, when you went to the ball, when you told the truth even though you were terrified. That's brave too. I've pulled people from burning buildings, but I can't save someone from themselves. I'd said that about Ryan months ago, bitter, angry, like it was defeat. But Emma had taught me the end of that sentence. Sometimes you save yourself by letting go. That's the hardest rescue. The tree swayed in the breeze. Small now, vulnerable, but alive, growing. "You know what I realized?" Emma said, looking up at me. "Family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up when everything falls apart." The motif I'd clung to for years. Family isn't who you're born to, it's who shows up. I'd used it to defend hiring Ryan, to justify helping him again and again, to excuse his failures because he was blood. But Emma was right. Real family wasn't obligation. It was choice. Pete had shown up. Chief Briggs, Diane Morrison, who'd risked her job to bring me the truth. The 400 people who'd stood up at the ball. That was family. Ryan and Hannah were born into my life. But they hadn't shown up when it mattered. They'd torn everything down. "You're right," I said. "That's exactly what family is." Emma smiled. Not the sad smile of the past few months. A real smile. Healing smile. "Come on," she said. "We should water the tree. Make sure it takes root." We got a hose from the station. Emma held it while I turned on the water. We stood there, 13-year-old daughter and 38-year-old father, watering a tree that would outlive us both. The Millbrook Fire Department flag snapped in the wind above us. The station where I'd spent 16 years, where I'd learned to run toward fires instead of away from them, where I discovered that sometimes the hardest fires to fight were the ones in your own life. I wasn't the same man I'd been 6 months ago. I'd been broken, betrayed, rebuilt. But I was still standing. And Emma was still here, holding the hose, laughing when the water splashed her shoes. Dad? Yeah, sweetheart. I'm proud of you. 3 words, but they meant everything. I'm proud of you too, Em. The tree swayed. The water soaked into the soil. And for the first time in months, I felt something that wasn't grief or rage or exhaustion. Peace, small, fragile, but real. Tommy and Emma redefined what family means. Not who you're born to, but who shows up when everything falls apart. If you've built your own chosen family, tell me about them in the comments. Who's your Pete? Your Chief Briggs? And if this story moved you, hit subscribe. I tell stories about finding strength in the hardest moments. I'll see you in the next one.